folks, my name is Jeroen and I whipped up a quick programming language that I named Neil, and in this video I'm just going to give a quick demonstration of how it works. Neil is an extension to the Lua programming language and uses the same scripting engine. What Neil frankly does is translate its own code to Lua and let the Lua engine execute it. Why this language? Because I think Lua is a very good scripting engine. However, Lua has a few things that, especially in large projects, always worked against me, and Neil had to help me on that. In order to demonstrate Neil, I wrote a quick program called QuickNeil, and from PowerShell I'm going to use that program. Let's clean it up. It also works on the normal DOS prompt if you prefer that. I personally prefer PowerShell. In order to edit the source, I'll use gedit, simply because that was the editor in which I could most simply configure the syntax highlights right. Well, where shall I begin? As usual, we always start with the Hello World program. Neil is a procedural language. Everything has to live inside functions, as we don't really need functions for Hello World. We use init. Init is always executed just after the new script is translated and compiled. Init is just a kind of mini function that can only be executed once, and for QuickNeil it will do. And we will save it, of course, and if we now run this in QuickNeil, you see that it prints Hello World. Well, as I said, in Neil everything has to live in functions. So let's see how we create a function in Neil. Simply like this. And if we run this, you will see Hello World and Hallo Welt as it is in German. Like I said, Neil does not distinguish between uppercase and lowercase. So if I do it like this, you could also see this because I wrote and here entirely in lowercase and here with the capital E. It's all the same thing. That works. Now, as you can see, I made the call to the Dutch function inside a for loop. For loops work roughly the same as in Lua, with the big difference is that I don't write do at the end of the for loop, I just start a new line. Other than that, the syntax is the same. Of course, here goes to that as well, for entirely in lowercase as with this, that all will work. Voila. And well, that covers the very basics of Neil. Of course, so far I have been working with void functions. Basically, that's the same as in languages such as C and C++, functions that don't return values. Can I create a function that returns a value? Of course, I can. Let's see what will happen this way. As you can see, that just works. I could have done this a little bit better, I see. But hey, the basics work. So, that will work out better. Well, printf is not standard to Lua, Neil just provides it. And let's create a blank script. And you see me that's naming this file class demo. So, does that mean that Neil actually supports classes? Yes, it does. Well, this is a simple class. Read only means that the field can only be written to during either declaration or during the constructor stage, which has happened here. After that, the value cannot be written to. Trying to do so will just cause an error. And well, display is just a regular method. Init. Well, I see it doesn't recognize table as a keyword yet, but it really is. And by default all tables are defined as an empty table, so I don't have to do that manually. And This is also something that Lua does not support, but Neil does, plus is. Which will, in the case of a table, just add a new item to the table. Now, unlike Lua, where we had to write this as a column and then the method name, here we can just suffice with a dot. That is because Neo can easily recognize its own classes. What Neo actually does is fully automatically create a meta table and configure Lua to handle this class right. Let's save it and let's see how quick Neo responds. And I made a little error, I see, in line 22. What did I do wrong? The wrong variable. Let's try it again. And now it works. And that is a simple way in using classes. Apart from classes, there is also groups. Basically, groups can be used in the same way as classes, with only this difference is that the group itself is now a fully stand-alone group and can therefore not be used with new like I do with classes. And if I then want to call the group, I can do it like this. What frankly happens is in a group is that all members are static. And that allows me to use the class name and its member field like this. This one. I will not be able to do this simply because M is not a static member, and thus it will throw an error on that one. Like you can see, remember m is not static. And if I dummy that line, which you do in Neil just with 2 slashes instead of 2 minuses like in normal Lua, then it will work again. And that is the basics of a class. Now classes also support properties. Wait a minute, let's do it like this. Should learn not to be too fast. Num acts like a variable, but in fact it's just a function, and with get I instructed it to be a property, and it will always contain the number of characters inside the specific hello world phrase. Can it also be used to assign data then? Yes, that is possible. Well, basically num can now also act as a void function. Int tells the function that it expects an integer, and yes, types are being checked. The parameter in a set property is always value, and instead of assigning a value to a variable, it will just execute this function and thus execute this print instruction, and that will look like this. And that is basically what Neil comes down to in the fundamentals. Well, I will leave it at that for this video. Perhaps I will later upload some more videos in which I go into the deep of a few more aspects about Neil. Thanks for watching, and perhaps I see you next time.